So when you open My Properties, you have a spreadsheet that shows all your assets, what you pay for it in the down payment, the current value, and the delta value. A double click anywhere will open the dedicated detail for the particular apartment. Each apartment is connected to its own lease, asset, and in cost you've been doing investing in that particular apartment. On the top here, you have the different menu for tenants, transaction, asset, and lease and daily rent. So let's have a quick look on the tenant. As you can see, many of them are here. Uh, Double click will go on the details of the tenant, as well as a click on the lease will connect you to the amount for the particular contract. Of course, there are some reports that you can have for phone lease and tenant address. Then you have the incoming, the transaction for the rent coming. Of course, if you look all the spreadsheet, they have this little arrow that looks down that allow you to perform specific filter depending on the type of field. It can be, for instance, with date, and you can choose in this particular case what was incoming this month. On the top, you have as well the possibility to update the payment type, which in this particular case is mainly the banks, and the category of payment. On the asset, so you see all the assets related to their particular location. You can also define an owner for each asset, and based on that, you can see what is the total amount of asset for a particular owner. In my particular case, I include as well the properties, which give me a compound value of what was invested in the place as well as the value of the property. You have for each asset the possibility to create a link to a particular file that is contract or picture or anything. Of course, on the top, like in the previous form, you have the possibility to change the category as well as to change the location. The spending in the transaction are very similar to the incoming, except the money is going out. And if you click on the left, you can go to the detail of the spending. And if you double click on the service provider, you will have the detail of the provider as well as all the transaction performed so far with the particular supplier. Well, the lease is the main business where you check all your contract. So as you can see here, we can select one and go into the details. And here you have this possibility by double clicking here on this paper to add some attachment. Daily rent, okay, each customer is specific for a particular date, and at the bottom you can see you can select the different object for renting, and it will calculate based on the period how many nights the person stayed there and the amount to be paid. The object to rent is based on the property, and if you have within one property several items like studio or room or whatever, or in this particular case I have a sauna and jacuzzi, so I define this element with the type entertainment. And you have the price, and I always connect it to a particular lease ID. Of course, if you double click on the lease, it will connect directly to the lease, like everything else. As well, for each of this item, there is a particular planner that I will include now. Just a second, let's take this for instance. Okay, and within the planner, you have on the left all the months and all the days and the different weeks within the months. And each cells with a particular color is booked by a particular person, where you see at the bottom the information related to that particular deal. Or if you double click on it, then on the back it will show you the particular transaction. What else to say? Of course, you can change the color if this particular color doesn't please you, and you can define the object type as well as the payment category list, which is the same like the property. On the report side, there is several reports related to income as well as for a particular date, the availability of object. Let's have a look. It generate that, take a little while. And here you see which object is available. In this particular case, all of them are available. Now, if you want to connect all the daily rent to the lease you have in the property list, you update manually with this option here. And like every category, there is this spreadsheet at the end based on all the reservation, where you can filter each of them as well as connected to all the elements. You also have some reports and other function depending on the version you're using of My Property. And reports are always based with the reference date. In this particular case, we have the 20th of August. We can see what was generated so far in terms of incoming. There we go. Let's close this one. And last but not least, information about the license status is to be found under the question mark. You click on license status. And here we see the licenses unlimited. In your particular case at the beginning, I suppose it's going to be a limited one, but you can generate the text for ordering an email.